Hello, this is Dan Smith, and this is an in-depth walkthrough of my fork of the FileMaker-LetsEncrypt Windows installation script, or automation script. So, let's see here. First, the setup I've got here is Windows 2016, fresh install of Windows 2016, FileMaker Server 17, and I did just a couple things to it before, other than a fresh install. I ran my Windows Server setup script, which installs Google Chrome and Notepad++. You can find that in my GitHub gist if you'd like that. Open the firewall. Other than that, it's pretty bare bones. So for right now, let's see. If I try connecting to this server that you can see in the background, you can see I don't have encryption enabled. So I will close that. So now we will go through my recommended steps to configuring this script on your server. So step one is to open PowerShell as an administrator. So you can do these steps and that will take you to it. That will do it for you. Since I'm logged in as the administrator account already, I can just click on it and I can see that I'm in this PowerShell session is running as administrator. Make this a bit bigger so we can see what's going on better. Okay, so what's going on here? Let's encrypt. Right. So this is, for this walkthrough, I'm going to be showing you my code that I have not yet published. So it's on the dev branch, and you can see it's many commits ahead of the master branch. Once I'm done with this testing here, I will be merging that with master once it's fully vetted. So we've got PowerShell open as administrator. Now we will download the script and put it in the FileMaker server's data scripts directory. I just like to keep my FileMaker server related script there. That's why I chose that. It seemed like a logical place. So when I paste that in here and hit enter, it's already downloaded. So we can go to Program Files, FileMaker Server Data. I'm actually going to pin that so we can come back to it easier. So you can see there's our script that we just downloaded. And so now get your first certificate. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it in, and replace the dummy domain and email with my own. And there we go. Now, it says to consider using the staging parameter. So I would, when very first setting this up, I would recommend doing that. So I'm going to add that, tack that onto the end here. I do this every time. Back in step 2 here when I downloaded the file, it's actually set up for the master branch. So because I'm working on unreleased code, I need to go in and change that. I just pressed up key to get to a previous command. Change master to dev. And I'll just go in and I don't have to delete the file first. I'm just going to show demo to you that when I this file is not there, I hit enter and it's just downloaded, just that quick. So now I've got the dev branch, so now the staging parameter will exist. So I'm just going to clear the screen, press up a few times to get to the command I wanted to perform. And actually I stepped over one part here. So in this step here, one of the commands you're running is setting the execution policy. and you're bypassing it for the current process or while PowerShell is open. And you're also executing code that you've downloaded from the internet. So that is, both of those are major security concerns. So it would be prudent of you to review this code yourself. You can right click, and if you don't have Notepad++ installed, you can right click, edit, open it up in PowerShell ISE to view the code yourself, and make sure I'm not deleting all your files and whatever else I could potentially be doing. This is all public code, so it's easy to see and vet and whatnot yourself, but I just want to put that out there. So I'm going to request a staging certificate. So the output, it says that logging is enabled, and because of that it started a transcript, which is just the method I'm using to create the log file. So basically everything you see here in the console will also be saved to a text directory, or text file, in the FileMaker server data documents directory. And while I was talking, it tried loading credentials from Credential Manager. To do that, it had to install NuGet package provider, then install Credential Manager. Didn't find the credentials, so now it's asking me for them. A couple notes on this before I proceed. So if I had, I'm going to scroll down to authentication and the installation steps here. If I'd had external authentication set up for the for my current user to log into the admin console with external authentication, then I wouldn't be prompted for the username and password here. It would have just automatically detected that I was right here when it's confirming access to FMS admin. It would automatically detect that you're already connected and just continue. So entering credentials here is an alternative to the external authentication. So if you choose to use this method, beware that there is a bug that is issue number 1. You can keep track of it. Perhaps it'll get resolved in the future. In a few select instances, which I can't seem to reproduce, it would delete all credentials stored in Credential Manager. If I remember, I'll come back to this later in the video, because I will show right where it happened and how to avoid that from happening, to the best of my knowledge at least. Okay, so I'm going to, actually before I do that, I'm going to open Credential Manager. So this is where it's stored, and this is also the same place FileMaker Pro stores credentials, or FileMaker Server stores them for like encryption at rest, that sort of thing. So it will show up under here under generic credentials once I enter it. So it stored them, so I will refresh, and there it is. So you can access those directly, you can change the password, you can delete it if you need to. There's that. So after it's gone through that basic setup, echoing back the parameters that you sent to it, confirming access to FMS admin, then it does one final confirmation, and because I added the staging parameter, it does say staging here. It's verifying that it's just for testing. It will not restart FileMaker server, therefore you will not actually see this new certificate from FileMaker Pro client. And that's what I want for now, is just to, I don't want to have to restart my server and kick users off. I just want to make sure I can run the script from start to finish and connect to Let's Encrypt and do all the major stuff. So I will hit enter. So now it's installing the package, PowerShell package. that communicates with Let's Encrypt. And all this package installation stuff only happens the first time around. Now that it's done on the server, it's never going to happen again. And we're already done. Don't think I need to go through all that detail. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all that. So above this line here is all the communicating with Let's Encrypt, and here is where it would have imported the certificate. Actually, sorry, it did import the certificate. It just didn't stop FileMaker server because the staging parameter was provided, and it didn't restart the service, and it didn't start the server again. Skipped all those parts. So far we're good. Now let's see here. I didn't show this before. I should have. FMS. So if I go to the domain that I'm getting the certificate for, I'm going to proceed, even though it's not secure, so that I can show you the certificate. So I did just install this staging certificate, and Let's Encrypt uses this fake certificate, which is, again, just for testing. It's for exactly what we're doing here, demoing, setup, that sort of thing. So that's good. That's what we expected. And just to clarify here, if I try to log back in, it's still not encrypted because we didn't restart the server yet. So we will get back to that. Installation instructions. Let's see. So we just did step 3. We got our certificate with the staging parameter. So the first time around we got it. Now, next step is to schedule the task to renew the certificate, because Let's Encrypt certificates expire every 60 days. I've set it up to renew every 63 days so that it happens before Let's Encrypt sends you an automated email reminding you to update it, and so that it happens on the same day of the week that you initially set it up. Or I should say, so that it happens on the same day of the week every time. Now another consideration here is to configure the log file to be emailed to you before running the step. So before we set up the task, I'm actually going to do that. So you can click on this link, or you can just scroll to the end. And that takes you here. So what you need to do is just store credentials for, sorry, start at the beginning here. So there's 2 steps. At the end of the script, there's some code that you need to modify. And I still have power, no I don't. So in this script, I'm actually going to use Notepad because that's just my preferred editor. So in the getSSL script, if you scroll to the end, there is some code here that sends a mail message. Now I've set it up so that this long line and all this stuff here, you don't have to touch, so all you have to touch is these ones here. So I'm going to send it from, let's see, I have it set up for this is pre-configured for sending from Gmail. And send me a message from, so what I've found is that to actually use Gmail as an SMTP server, you need to log into your Gmail account from the server before it will accept that. So we'll do that in a second here. So that part's set up. Let's go back. So we edited the SMTP connection info, and then you have to securely store your credentials. And you do that by running this command here. I've got a command copied and pasted with my credentials already there. Try that again. So I will store those. And you could see that in Credential Manager if we go back there. No, I guess it's right here, might as well. So now we have it there as well. And in case you're thinking, oh no, you just showed us your credentials, I will be deleting those before posting the video, so sorry. Okay, email and log file set up. So we should be good to email the log file when the scheduled task runs. We'll go back to installation step 4. And so now you run this command, and really this whole command is the same as that one. You just tack on scheduled task at the end. So I'll go back to PowerShell, press up until I get to my the last command I'd run to call get SSL, and I'll add schedule task. And if you want to, you can add what is it? I believe the short is T. I think it's probably time, to specify an exact time of the day, and you can even specify a starting date if you'd like, just to demo this, and you just type it out kind of natural as text here. So let's just say 9:30 p.m. just to show that it works. So this time around, it attempts to load credentials, and it finds them, and then confirms access to FMS admin, and it confirms. So it's already verified that the script can run without requiring user intervention to enter credentials. Now it's just giving you confirmation, it's telling you the starting time you set up, the starting date, all that stuff. So I hit enter to accept the default as yes. So now that task is scheduled, and you can find that in Task Scheduler. And I'm going to, let's see, I'll open it. I'm going to just pin it to taskbar so we can come back to it easier. So under Task Scheduler, you'll find it as get SSL in the domain that you set up. And let's see here. Now, because I had included staging when I scheduled the task includes that as well. So this task is just for staging. When it calls the script, it's somewhere in there, it's going to say staging at the very end. So we're still in testing mode. We're not going to actually restart the server when this task runs. So what I want to do right now is just verify that this task is in fact going to run when I'm not logged onto the server. It's going to have access to FileMaker server. It's going to have access to Let's Encrypt. It's going to just do all that. So my goal is to verify all that before I rely on it. So I'm going to edit this task, edit the trigger to run today. I'm going to give myself a couple minutes, and let's see, yeah. So I set it to run 2 minutes from now, so that it gives me some time to log out of the server completely. Actually, let's see. I'm actually going to stop the video and log into my Gmail account so that I can make sure that it sends out an email before I do that. But I will be logging out before that task runs and verify it so that I can come back and verify that it will run. Okay, so I'm just coming back into the server now. I've given it some time to run that task. The last runtime it did just run, and it completed. So let's go in and look at the log. The log file is in Data, Documents, Get SSL. So these were the prior runs of the script. This one, 9:34, that's when I scheduled it. Let's see what it did. Turn word wrapping on. So it got credentials, confirmed access, communicates with Let's Encrypt properly. One thing I didn't point out before, but before it ever writes out new keys or changes any of the keys in the CStore directory, it backs them up, and it tells you where it's backing them up, and it's a folder based on the time the script ran. So right now it's backed up one of them. It will just keep backing these up forever, meaning if you set this to run, the script to run every single day, you're going to get a folder every day and they'll never be deleted. So it's up to you to delete those. But the script's only supposed to run every 63 days, so I'm not concerned about that. Okay, backups. Backed up the server custom. And actually, along the lines of backups, I'll also mention that in the help docs, the README here, it does mention how to restore a certificate. You just delete the server key and then call fmsadmin and import from that same backup directory your server key, server custom with server key. So basically you could just copy this and change this part out with the folder name that you'd like. Alright, so it looks like the script ran through. It didn't send me an email, and I don't know why just yet. I'm actually going to check Credential Manager again. And there we go. We were just hit by this bug. That's why it didn't send the email. So every time I set up a new server to do this demo, I get hit by this bug, where after running the scheduled task, and then I come in, let's double check. Yeah, the scheduled task seems to have run fine. It went all the way through to the end, but now those credentials that were, let me just do a refresh. Yeah, the credentials that were saved here are gone now. So I don't know why. And it seems to go away after this step. So I'll keep going through the video here. Maybe it'll come up again. Maybe it won't. I'm not sure yet. So because the credentials aren't here, the email wouldn't have been sent, and it's going to ask me for credentials next time I run the script. So just before I forget, I'm going to go in and save my credentials for my email. We'll go through here and verify that they're there. Okay, so step 4, setting up the scheduled task. So now we've confirmed that it will run when we're not logged in. And the next step is to get our actual certificate. So we're kind of going back to here. Or actually, rather than going back to here, I'm just going to test the schedule again. And I'll just have we'll modify the schedule by calling the script again. And I'm going to remove staging this time. You could go through and edit the schedule manually, but I'm just showing you a couple different ways. Actually, this will be necessary to store credentials again since they were lost in that first test run. Okay, so we'll create the schedule. Come in here and have a look at it. Let's see, so again I'm going to schedule it to run a few minutes from now, and then I'll log off. Or we've already confirmed that it will run when I log off, so I'm just going to stay logged on and Actually, I'm just going to say run now. Forgot to verify that these, or just show that these credentials were added back in the step when we scheduled the task. Let's see, I'll refresh here. It should be running. Yes, task is currently running. So we can actually open up the log file, close the old one. I should have closed the old one. Documents, get SSL. So that should be the one that's running now. So staging is false this time around. And look at that, this time I got an email. Good deal. I have my email open on another window, so I'll just show this here. So this email that I got should be exactly, it's over here so we can see it better, exactly what we're looking at here. So start time should be the same here. So that's nice to see, and it goes all the way to the end of the transcript. And let's see what it did. So it found credentials, confirmed access to FMS admin. Let's see if credentials are still there. If I refresh, they are still there. So that time it ran, it didn't delete them. Possibly because I was logged in, but I have tested that before with being logged off, so I'm not sure yet. I will reload it because the script was still running when I first opened this file. So it's going, at each section here I say done, it means it reached the end of that section, so just highlighted that so we can see the highlights. Okay, so imported the certificate, appended the intermediary, so stop FileMaker server. So before it stops the server, it checks if any files are open, tells you files were open, and then it stopped the server. Restarted the service, started the server. Could not connect to FMS admin. That is a new bug. I'll have to look into that one. After it started the server, because files were open, it's confirming that it can access FMS admin. Apparently it couldn't, but if it could, it would check if files were now open, and if they weren't open, it was going to open them. So the script does its best job to attempt to restore your server to the state it was in before it ran. All that code is at the end of the script here. So at the very end, we've got this finally block, so this runs every time the script exits, no matter how or where it exits. This runs when there's an error, and this is the actual last bit of main code in the script. So here we've got the stop FileMaker server code, checking if files are open, restart the service, and starting FileMaker server. Now it could be that you have your own script to start FileMaker server, and if you want to, you could basically delete all this and call your own script here. If you already have that process, that's fine. Okay, so we're done. So now we should have a certificate. The server should have been restarted. So let's have a look. Let's check in a browser. Certificate. Good. We got a valid certificate. Certificate path. Proper Let's Encrypt root this time. Certificate's okay. And let's check in FileMaker Pro Client. Connection failed. What happened there? Let's see. So the file is open. Open host. Let's try that one more time. Ah, there we go. I just had to refresh it or something. So this time I didn't mention that there was a encryption wasn't enabled. And there we go, we got our green lock. And you can see the certificate there as well. Let's see, so we're done. We are installed, we've got a scheduled task. You can view the scheduled task. You can change the time of day, day of the week, whatever you want it to run on. The triggers here is where you set that. If you want to see what it's performing, you go in here. You can see they give you a tiny little box. You've got to almost copy that out and paste it somewhere else to see it. But if you wanted to see the exact command that's being run, it's there. That's where it has your domain and email and all that. Let's see if there's anything else I missed. So we got a valid certificate. We've got our task scheduled. So we're done. If you want full documentation, you can do it the PowerShell way, or you can just look in the script itself. Documentation is all at the top here with examples and whatnot. What else? Authentication, I think we covered that. Staging, we covered that. This talks a bit more about why you should use staging and Let's Encrypt's rate limits. While developing this, I didn't, before I had the staging parameter, I hit the rate limits because I was using the production server, and then I wasn't able to continue testing until some time went by. Or I couldn't test with a live certificate until some time went by. So that's the point of the staging, is to prevent being locked out while you're just doing testing. We covered how to restore a certificate. We didn't cover multiple domains, but it's pretty simple, just comma separated for each domain. I forgot the number, but Let's Encrypt allows, I think it's hundreds of domains per certificate. Custom shutdown, we talked about that, and email and log file. That's it. I would say an important part is to, even though we could see in this test that the email did come in, everything seems to be working, there is still that intermittent bug with the credentials being deleted, and who knows what might happen in the meantime. Maybe somebody else disables that task or deletes it unknowingly. So I would recommend adding a reminder to your own calendar to review the server or to expect an email when this task runs, just so that you verify that your server is not going to be down, or you can just verify that it runs, and hopefully you'll just get an email and you can see that it went fine. But in the event that it doesn't, it'd be good to know that you should need to log into your server to check.